Hello and welcome. This is Gist Nigeria. Coming up on the program. Organized crime. Calls for stricter controls increase as more illegal crude oil pipelines are discovered in Nigeria. Also, climate change. Democratic Republic of the Congo struggles to manage its plastic wastes. Plus,
my name is Tino Olababafemi Nake. Check me out.
The social entrepreneur leading efforts to feed Nigeria's less privileged. Glad to have you join us here again on Gist Nigeria from the BBC and Channels Television. Here we track stories on social media and dissect them. I am Owale Fakile. Let's start with our lead story. No doubt, Nigeria is an oil-producing country. Its wealth is buried under the sea in the Niger Delta, and as it turns out, it has been stolen at shocking proportions. Authorities say at least 400,000 barrels of crude oil are stolen daily. And in just 1 month, Nigeria loses about 308 billion to these thieves. This amount is more than the 2021 budgets of both Jigawa and Ekiti states. Now, how is this even possible? Vivian Oguche has been speaking to experts, and here is our story.
Buried deep in the murky depths of these waters are huge deposits of crude oil. Black gold, as it is called, because of its color and value as Nigeria's major source of wealth. But this prosperity seems to be spilling away like water from a busted pipe due to oil theft on a massive scale. Between January 2021 and February 2022, Nigeria lost about $3.27 billion to oil theft, and according to President Muhammadu Buhari, it is an organized crime. The cartels are generally thought to be highly sophisticated and complicated.
At the top of the chain are people that are very high up in society that provide the backing for these oil trades. Then there are a group of professionals that I would like to refer to as facilitators who serve as paymasters for the operations group on ground. So that goes to the next group in the oil theft, which are the guys in the operations. And these are the guys that are tasked with the responsibility of installing the illegal taps. They man this tap, oversee the loading, and gather intelligence on oil ships and the security movements. Now the next group are the security operatives. And for this security operative, I'm talking about allegedly the rank and file of the security forces in Nigeria. And this group are known to have provide sentry for these operations and escort these ships. Then the next group in the chain are the local transporters. And these guys provide smaller vessels, trucks, responsible to carry on ship-to-ship transportation of this stolen crude. Then we have the local and host communities, purchase communities, which provide, for lack of a better phrase, protection for these oil theft operations to take off. So you can understand if you look at the list of players involved.
Former technical advisor to the Executive Secretary of Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NEITI, Dauda Garuba, says the real danger is in letting the real crooks off the hook.
The bulk of the time, we're only interested in the small thieves, and until we begin to focus attention on those who use paper, by way of talking of forgery now, to lift oil, and also those who are hacking into pipelines big time, we are not going to be in any position to get to the root of the matter.
Statistics regarding crude oil theft and its implication on Nigeria's economy are dire. Crude oil production has been declining in the country since 2012, with August posting the lowest oil output in the last 20 years.
the country can no longer produce even what is allocated to it as a quota of 1.8 million barrels a day. Rather, we are hovering around 1.3 and 1.4 million barrels. What this means is that the country is now losing almost 400 to 500 barrels of crude oil per day.
If you carry out the necessary conversions and calculation into liters, 400,000 barrels of crude oil per day will be equivalent to 2,000 tankers of 33,000 liters each. And you're talking about crude oil here, not even the refined products or the derivatives. Imagine Nigeria was losing or is still losing, hundreds or thousands or millions of dollars per day. But if the proceeds of the stolen crude oil were to be coming into the coffers of the country to a reasonable extent, a lot of things will have been improved in the country. It's very, very clear. There will have been enough money to take care of the budget deficits. There will have been enough money to take care of the health situation in Nigeria. There will have been enough money to take care of infrastructure.
But beyond the loss of revenue, the environment is also a major casualty.
It affects aquatic life, and that eventually affects us as human beings, because that is our life support system, especially in the communities living in that immediate environment.
As the negative impact of oil theft worsens, the clamor for respite mounts. However, before a problem is solved, it needs to be understood.
Avoiding detection is key when oil thieves commence an operation to illegally extract crude from a pipeline. But when oil theft is carried out on a massive scale, changes in pressure are noticeable when the tapping point is opened and closed at the end of a long hose pipe.
Pressure is an important parameter that we could use to track the behavior of our fluid flow in pipeline systems. A real-time monitoring system like SCADA will do a lot of good. Here, just like I showed you in my lab the other time, you could see the various sensors on the pipeline transmit information into the computer system where we can read what is happening in the pipeline system. It doesn't have to be within the lab.
In oil exploration, another indicator of the flow of fluid is productivity index.
If I want to talk mathematically, a ratio of the volume of our oil that is produced to the pressure drawdown. What is pressure drawdown? It's just the change, the difference in pressure, that is different in the drainage pressure. In a layman language, let's say reservoir pressure. This is an inherent property of a particular well. So if there is a change in the pressure downstream of our well, for example, that may affect the bottom hole flowing pressure, which in turn will affect the particular productivity index.
To sum it all up, detecting oil theft is not rocket science.
It is said that desperate times call for desperate measures. Experts say securing Nigeria's oil pipelines might just be a case in point.
We need to have a strategic roadmap, and one of that is a stopgap plan where the private security outfits come in, because they know the area. We've seen it work in Mexico, where the government simply partnered with the private security outfit, and they were able to reduce crude oil theft from 81,000 a year to about 5,000 a year in a couple of years.
Recently, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited said it uncovered an illegal 4-kilometer pipeline from Forkadus in Delta State, southern Nigeria, to the sea, and a loading port that was part of an organized crude oil theft operation that is believed to have been in operation for at least 9 years. Meanwhile, Shell Nigeria says it is investigating whether the illegal pipeline uncovered by the NNPC carried stolen crude to one of its offshore platforms.
One of the contractors, Tantita Security Service, is the one that makes this apprehension. Hitherto, we don't have this. We have been operating on a silo. And that silo has been broken down. That's number one. Number two, we are now deploying technology. Technology at all levels.
There is no way you can load a vessel without settling the security that are within that environment. They will now take you around now. When people are walking, you see one gunboat here, one gunboat here. This is another gunboat. People are doing loading crude oil. Can they do that without settling the people that are here?
We are going to go back there to make sure that all of those infrastructure, the cooking infrastructure that they put on ground, will be deactivated, so that we would equally discourage them to prevent them from coming to do any illegal cooking of food.
At Okaki, where we discovered after deactivating that camp, I tasked my men to locate the tapping point, and they located that tapping point 13 kilometers away. It was a shell wellhead with tall shell, and as I speak to you now, that place has not been deactivated, has not been locked down, has not been cut.
To consolidate on these gains, experts say a holistic approach must be employed.
Real issue to stop the crude theft, we know it has been with us for 30 years, is to be able to efficiently and gather the intelligence to manage the market.
I'd like to talk about the framework that I think we would better articulate our security system, which is the predict, detect, respond, and recover.
Above all, we also need to engage communities where some of these activities are taking place.
They say it is not resources, but resourcefulness that ultimately makes the difference. To this end, experts say combining an elaborate intelligence network with transparency in regulating the oil and gas industry will effectively deal with all types of crude oil theft and put Nigeria on the right path to ending its resource curse. Vivian Oguche, Gist Nigeria.
Just mind-boggling. Be part of this conversation. Tweet to us at Gist Nigeria TV. Let's hear from you. Still to come here on Gist Nigeria from the BBC and Channels Television. DRC struggles to manage environmental pollution as global campaign against climate crisis continues.